Today is Independence Day in the United States of America, July 4th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me. Throughout this holiday, we are prepared to endure some of the most shallow and hollow representations of patriotism as defined by white supremacy in this country. It is the type of patriotism that waves the American flag but will burn a Black Lives Matter flag. It will wave the thin blue line flag in support of police officers, but it will burn the LGBTQIA flag. It is the type of patriotism that seeks to undo all of the progress that was made in the 20th century, yet and still it will be lifted up today as well as throughout the rest of the year as the hallmark of patriotism. And in today's episode, I want to discuss why it is critically necessary for those of us who are people of good faith, those of us who are fighting for justice, those of us who have fought, our ancestors fought and died in this country's defense. In every single war, Black people, we have had people stand and fight for this country and die for this country since the Revolutionary War. Every single one of us, Black people, marginalized communities, other minorities, people of color, the LGBTQIA community, it is incumbent upon us to snatch away from these traitors the mantle of patriotism and not replicate its emptiness, its platitudes, its inability to make America a more perfect union. The patriotism that we're dealing with today wants to make America, quote, great again, which is to take it back to a time before any of us had rights. No, we're looking for an America that is a more perfect union. And I want to begin today with a clip from James Earl Jones as he recites a portion of Frederick Douglass's famed 4th of July speech, What to the Slave is this 4th of July.
Fellow citizens, pardon me and allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I therefore called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us? I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. The sunlight that brought life and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. To drag a man in fetters into the grand illuminated temple of liberty and call upon him to join you in joyous anthems were inhuman mockery and sacrilegious irony. Do you mean, citizens, to mock me by asking me to speak today? What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days of the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is a constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty, an unholy license. Your national greatness, swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes that would disgrace a nation of savages. There's not a nation of the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument, is needed. Oh, had I the ability and could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour forth a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and the crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced.
That is James Earl Jones giving a rendition of Frederick Douglass's "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." I absolutely love this speech, especially if you read it in its entirety. It's rather lengthy, and Frederick Douglass goes into so many different facets of society. He even goes through a condemnation of the Christian church because of its role in slavery. But one of the portions of the speech that James Earl Jones read that stands out to me the most is the portion where he says, this, above all else, this is not a time for convincing arguments, but scorching irony.
At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument, is needed.
That is so representative of our time now that it makes me laugh, but also sad that the conditions of the United States of America have not improved such that it is above scorching irony, or rather, even more precisely, sound arguments. That's not the remedy to our problems today, because the other side understands that they're being illogical. The other side understands that they're being irrational. They understand that they're being hypocritical. And all of those are mechanisms. They're tools for their agenda to be accomplished in this country. And so when you find yourself up against an opposition that refuses to adhere to sound logic and reason, then you have to go with a different approach, which is to scorn them, to mock them, to deride them. Is that not where we are today? Because the more time we spend trying to craft arguments to help the other side see what they're doing wrong, the further the other side runs with their political football. And their political football includes devastating the rights of every single group that's not white, male, and Christian. This is not hyperbole. In fact, this is the power structure that they have self-identified.
And the far left want to break down the white Christian male power structure of which you're a part, and so am I.
That was Bill O'Reilly, formerly of Fox News, speaking to then presidential candidate John McCain, explaining the power structure in this country. And you will notice today, July 4th, Independence Day, as they wave their American flags, that they're waving it not for a diverse country. They're waving it not for a pluralistic country. They're waving it not for a melting pot. They're waving it for a very specific power structure, and that is the power structure of white, straight Christian men, also known as white supremacy. And when we come back, we will discuss how these so-called patriots are actually traitors. They have betrayed the United States of America because America dared to try to be inclusive. I want to begin this next section with definitions, clear definitions, so that we can have an agreed upon starting point for this conversation. Patriotism is defined as the quality of being patriotic, having devotion to and being vigorously supportive of one's country. That's just the basic Googleable definition of patriotism. But I want to be sure patriotism is a political tool. It is a tool that is wielded by the powerful in this country as a means of protecting a very specific type of America. Not the United States of America that has the promise of becoming a more perfect union, but the type of America that is enshrined at a very specific time in American history. And for years, we have watched as the conservative movement in this country has not only laid claim to the idea of patriotism, that they are the most patriotic Americans, we have also seen them devolve into full-blown traitors. We are dealing with a cognitive dissonance that allows the conservatives in this country to simultaneously believe that they are the most patriotic Americans while they are completely and totally undermining our democracy, while they have pledged their fealty and their loyalty to Vladimir Putin because, well, they are not patriotic when it comes to following a president who's not a part of their party. There are limitations to the patriotism that comes from the conservative movement, yet we still see them wielding the idea of patriotism against every single one of us. Every person that is not a straight Christian white man, we have had patriotism used against us. We are accused of not being patriotic, of not loving our country. And it's that love of country that is the catch-all that allows them to define patriotism any way they want to. They love their country so long as their country supports white supremacy. They'll be patriotic. They love this country so long as this country continues to give to the rich and take from the poor. They will remain patriotic. Their patriotism ends as soon as this country is no longer expressly benefiting them. That's the limitations of their patriotism. And they have made it clear that they are done with the United States of America. They are through with it. They are ready to rewrite the Constitution as soon as they get enough state legislatures to call a constitutional convention. They are prepared to do that. They have already installed an illegitimate court that is ruling not through the letter or the spirit of the law, but they're ruling as radical justices who are executing a conservative agenda to the detriment of the United States of America. Yet they still get to call themselves patriotic. They are doing everything they can to disenfranchise as many voters as possible, but they still call themselves patriotic. They are literally undermining every aspect of this democracy of the United States of America because it has dared. The United States of America dared to give an inch to marginalized people, give an inch to black people. What have black people actually gained as a result of what we've given to this country? And they lost their minds over it. What we had a black president that was the prize for which these traitors have lost their minds. They are now ready to turn over this democracy to someone like Vladimir Putin.
And the reason that Putin ain't woke, he is anti-woke.
The Russians, people still know which bathroom to use.
They know how many genders are there in Russia?
2.
Okay, that's all of a sudden. That's not. They don't have the flags. They don't have the pride flags outside on their.
They don't have boys swimming in girls' college swim meets.
How backward.
In terms of Ukraine and Russia, I haven't really seen so much of that in the news. I'm of course pro-Putin. I'm very pro-Russia.
I am also.
Let's go. Yeah. You see that this is just an extension of the United States neocon establishment, New World Order type stuff.
Those were the voices of Steve Bannon. The first voice you heard was Steve Bannon. The second voice was Eric Prince, who is his own type of Prigozhin, who runs the Wagner Group in Russia. Eric Prince runs Blackwater here in the United States of America. And the last voice was that of Nick Fuentes. So we are dealing with individuals, people, an ideology, a belief system that calls themselves patriots. They really say America first. It's actually the name of Nick Fuentes' organization. They always use names like Moms for Liberty. They always identify themselves in the most patriotic fashion imaginable. Meanwhile, they are literally betraying the United States of America because the politics of our day disagree with their worldview. And so what do they say? Can we have a pluralist society? Can we have a diverse society? No, they say down with America because America is too free, because it's allowing black people, it's allowing Jewish people, it's allowing Muslims, it's allowing gay people to be free. And these people, these enemies of good faith, these enemies of America, these traitors, they are very clear about the fact that they only love America to the extent that they can use America to control everyone else. Listen to this clip of Richard Spencer admitting that the idea of free speech, he only supports it to the extent that it can be used and then weaponized against everyone else using free speech.
Long term, are we even pro free speech?
No, of course not. But we have to use this platform in order.
So we're being radically honest here.
Yes, radically pragmatic.
Conservatives today are not pro free speech. They are only pro-American to the extent that they can use America to control every group that they don't approve of. They are only pro-American to the extent that they can use it for their political agenda. And if it is the case that America becomes too quote-unquote woke, they are willing to betray the United States of America in exchange for someone and something like Vladimir Putin. Yet they today are waving their Star-Spangled Banners. They are waving their thin blue line flags. They're singing God Bless America. But what they really mean is God bless America to only be a blessing to white Christian men. And they get the mantle of being patriots. They get the mantle of being pro-American. They get the mantle of the stars and stripes. While those of us who fight relentlessly to make America a more perfect union, those of us who come from a lineage of people who fought for every single war in this country since its founding, since its inception, those of us who are fighting to make America more just, we are labeled as un-American, which goes back to the very definition of patriotism. As defined by conservatives, the real patriots are those individuals who don't dare celebrate diversity. It does not include individuals who would expand these freedoms to include black, brown, Jewish people, Muslims, the LGBTQIA community. No, that's not patriotism to them because it represents a diverse America that they don't have control over. They don't have dominance over. They only love America to the extent that they can control America, and 1 inch moving, 1 iota difference, 1 step in the wrong direction towards progress, they're willing to betray this country, and they are in fact actively betraying it. Right now as we speak, they're waving Star-Spangled Banners, but they're also waving the treasonous flag of the Confederacy. They're also waving their support for Vladimir Putin, and they are so tired of a diverse America that they're even considering a second civil war.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions.
Here we go. It may be a holiday, but we still are going to take our time to welcome 2 newest patrons. Cam Miller. Cameron, thank you so much for becoming a patron. And Crystal, thank you so much for becoming a patron. This entire patron party is for the 2 of you. Turn it up. You too can become a part of this prestigious and most prodigious patron family by going to patreon.com/The BPD Show, where you get twice the content, none of the commercial interruptions, and you get access to our bi-weekly patron party, which we just had one Friday night. It was a blast. You don't want to miss it. Patreon.com/The BPD Show, and we will be back after this commercial break, unless of course you're a patron.
Welcome back to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Yeah. Welcome back. I want to be clear that this very specific and particular definition of patriotism is intentionally narrow by design because it gives conservatives the exact mechanism and pathway. It gives them their navigation points to maneuver through this system while simultaneously getting all of the benefits of being seen and heralded as patriots while simultaneously calling for the Second Civil War, simultaneously waving the Confederate flag, simultaneously wanting to betray this country to follow someone like Vladimir Putin. It is intentional, but it's also juvenile. It is extremely childlike. Their understanding of commitment. To them, being a patriot means never questioning the United States of America, except for in the instances where you want to question them because, well, we're pro-LGBTQ, or we have, Black Lives Matter painted on roadways. Not because we actually do anything for black people, but we give them symbolism, and that symbolism is too much for conservatives. So that's when they begin to question the United States of America. But outside of questioning the United States of America as it pertains to rights and liberties of marginalized groups, conservatives demand that you do not question the United States. You do not second guess its decisions. You don't second guess its systems. You don't dare call for justice because the United States is a beacon of hope for justice. And to call for more justice in their infantile minds really symbolizes a disloyalty. It symbolizes to them in their minds, if you call for something to be improved upon in the United States of America, you are met with calls to go back to your country, go back to Africa. This is intentional because if we call on America to be a more perfect union, if we actually call for progress, if we do the patriotic thing, which is to make America better, to make it a more perfect union so that it will last. America will not last unless it becomes continuously a more perfect union. America will implode on itself. But if you take the long game and invest in the United States of America to be inclusive and productive for every person who becomes a part of this country, every citizen and everyone who's touched by our empire abroad, if you call for any improvements on the United States of America, which would help the United States of America, well, then you are labeled as a traitor by conservatives. You are labeled as an outsider by conservatives. You are unpatriotic in the minds of conservatives. This is intentional and it is juvenile because what on earth is so perfect that it cannot be improved? What institution is so holy that it cannot be improved upon? What government is so above reproach that we cannot use mechanisms to make that government better? It's only in the juvenile and infantile, intentionally juvenile and intentionally infantile brains of conservatives that they insist on freeze drying America and preserving it perfectly right at the turn of the 19th century, no later than 1950s. The perfect America for conservatives is an America that has no progress for anyone else except for white conservative men. And so it is mandatory that they adopt a way of thinking that says that America does not need any improvement. America does not need to be a more perfect union. America does not need to be more inclusive. America needs to be preserved right at the moment when it gave the maximum amount of power to white Christian conservative straight men. And whereas the rest of us look at reality and say every institution should be improved, every one of us can improve. Everything that we have can be improved upon, and it is extremely childish and juvenile to suggest that this country or anything for that matter is so perfect that it cannot be improved upon, that it cannot change for the better. This is the same type of thinking that they adopt in their own personal lives. This is why it is so easy for them to use religion against individuals, because it gives them the opportunity to point a finger at you without ever examining themselves. They no more want to improve the United States of America than they want to improve their own sick, twisted, and sadistic mannerisms and behaviors. They insist that the America that they want is perfect. just like they insist that their lives and their ideologies and their beliefs are perfect. But any person of good faith who can look holistically at American history would understand that America is far from perfect.
And the United States of America government, when it came to treating her citizens of Indian descent fairly, she failed. She put them on reservations. When it came to treating her citizens of Japanese descent fairly, she failed. She put them in internment prison camps. When it came to treating the citizens of African descent fairly, America failed. She put them in chains. The government put them on slave quarters, put them on auction blocks, put them in cotton fields, put them in inferior schools, put them in substandard housing, put them in scientific experiments, put them in the lowest paying jobs, put them outside the equal protection of the law, kept them out of their racist bastions of higher education, and locked them into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America? No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America that's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating her citizens as less than human. God damn America as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is supreme.
Jeremiah Wright was labeled a heretic. He was labeled as a traitor. He was labeled as unpatriotic because he called out America's history in hopes of preserving America, in hopes of improving America, in hopes of calling attention to the reality that if there's any question of God's position towards the United States of America based on her performance throughout history, it's not God bless America, it's goddamn America. Maybe they would take it better from a white slave-owning former president of the United States. Thomas Jefferson said, "I tremble for my country when I consider that God is just and his justice will not sleep forever." This is a call to consciousness. This is a call to be awakened. This is a call to be woke, to look at our past and say, if we want to preserve the United States of America, how can we continue along the path of all of our atrocities? How can we continue to say God bless America when we continue to do things that call for our damnation? How can we continue to assert that we love this country when we constantly put it in the pathway of the moral arc of the universe? If anybody loves this country, it's those of us who not only served it from day one, not only those of us who built it from day one, not only those of us who have blood, sweat, and tears in the literal ground, but those of us who call on the United States of America to be more, to be better, to repent, to turn from its wicked ways, to stop the oppression that we see globally, to stop the exploitation that we see domestically and globally, to stop funding the military-industrial complex, to stop with our endless wars, to stop with our siding with other countries who are committing atrocities, Saudi Arabia and Yemen, or the far right-wing extremist government of Israel as they treat the Palestinian people. We, as the United States of America, we have been involved in the very worst atrocities that this world has known in centuries, and yet we have an expectation that God is going to bless America?
No, no, no. Not God bless America. God damn America that's in the Bible for killing innocent people.
No, it's not God bless America. It's God bless goddamn America. God bless goddamn America. God bless this country because I live here, because I have children here, and my children have no other place to go besides the United States of America. So I need America to be blessed by God, but God bless this goddamn country, this country that damns itself, this country that continuously participates in the exploitation of marginalized people all around the globe, when the Bible clearly said that we should take the least of these and we should love them. We should care for them. We should clothe them. We should feed them. But instead, the United States of America exploits them for plunder. God bless this goddamn country because I need this country not to fall. I think the real patriots are those of us who are saying that this country needs to change so that we can save it, so that we can preserve it, because the list of crimes that have been marked on the moral arc of the universe as it pertains to the United States of America suggests that the United States of America should be destroyed, but God bless this goddamn country. Why? Because I just love America so much? No, because I cannot afford, nor can you afford, for this empire to crumble around us, such that we find ourselves scrapping for food, in running battles in the streets, trying to protect our children in a system that has collapsed underneath the pressure of all of its bigotry, collapsed underneath the pressure of all of its evil, collapsed underneath the pressure of all of the hypocrisy that white conservatives particularly are bringing to the front, saying that this is patriotism. The very behaviors that these people call patriotism are the exact behaviors that will destroy this country. And this is why I believe that we must absolutely snatch the mantle of patriotism away from them. Why? Because we want to be patriots just like conservatives? Absolutely not. But because we understand the necessity of preserving this country for the sake of our children. And we cannot preserve this country without making it a more perfect union, because everything that is required to preserve this freeze-dried 1950 type of Americana is exactly what will get this country destroyed from the outside and from within. And because I need America to be here in 100 years, because I expect my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren to be as prosperous as any generation can be, then it is incumbent upon us to snatch away this juvenile and infantile definition of patriotism and throw it into the dustbin of history and demand that anyone who calls himself a patriot must by definition call on the United States of America to be better, to be a more perfect union, to be more inclusive, to do away with all of the exploitation that is a hallmark of America, the evil that America does. It must be done away with, or else we would have earned the destruction that is laying wait for an empire as evil as the United States of America has been. That's why Jeremiah Wright said, "Goddamn America." But that's why I say, God bless goddamn America, because I need this country to be preserved. I need the United States of America to endure, not because of some childish interpretation of patriotism or nationalism, but because of the investment that has been made in blood, sweat, and tears by my ancestors and the future that I want to build for my children. God bless goddamn America. That's all the time I have for today. Go and enjoy some barbecue. Jump in a pool. Enjoy America while we can. We'll get to work tomorrow. See you next time.